Our next presenter this morning is CodeDx. CodeDx is an affordable and easy-to-use software vulnerability management system. And presenting this morning for CodeDx is Anita D'Amico.
Good morning. I'm from CodeDx. CodeDx means code diagnosis. Before an attacker goes into a network and tries to penetrate it, one of the first things that he does is he looks at what are these software applications running on that enterprise. Most software applications are riddled with vulnerabilities, and an attacker can use those vulnerabilities as the window into your network. The mission of CodeDx is to make it easy and affordable for you to find and fix those software vulnerabilities before the attacker can get to them. Now, there are many application security testing tools out there on the market, but there are many obstacles to their use. And what CodeDx does is address those obstacles. One of the first things is that the commercial tools are expensive. So CodeDx leverages open source technology to drive the cost down. So instead of spending $100,000 for HP Fortify, you can spend under $10,000 for CodeDx. Now you may ask, if there are open source tools out there already, why wouldn't people just use them? Some people do, but what we have found is that they're very hard to use. First, you have to figure out what open source testing tools to use, then you have to configure them, and it's very time consuming. What CodeDx does is we select the tools for you, we configure them, and we automatically run them for you. Now, once you run these tools, you're going to find thousands of vulnerabilities in your software. And most developers or testers look at that and say, where do I start? CodeDx provides visual tools for you to prioritize and categorize those vulnerabilities so that you find and fix the most important ones first. And one other thing about these application security tools is that in order to find most of the vulnerabilities, you actually have to run 4 or 5 of them. The problem with that is that they are specialized and each one produces its results in a different format. So there's inconsistencies. So you run 5 scanners against your software, but you can't make sense of the data. What CodeDx does is it takes the output from all of those tools, we put it into a common severity rating, we use common terminology, and we put it into a unified actionable report. And in addition, we remove the duplications so you're not looking at the same vulnerability multiple times. CodeDx is sold in 2 forms. The standard edition is focused on small and medium-sized businesses. Well, here's how it works. A developer takes their software, they feed it into CodeDx. CodeDx figures out what languages the software is written in. We select the tools for testing the security of those languages. We run the tools for you, and we put the results out in an actionable report. The Enterprise Edition is focused primarily on those who already have some kind of application security testing investment in place. And what we do there is we take the results from many different types of application security testing, source code analyzers, dynamic penetration testers, manual code reviews. We bring them all together and we put them into CodeDx and we make it manageable for you to organize. In addition, what we do is we identify which of the vulnerabilities are violations of PCI compliance or HIPAA compliance, so we can work in those vertical markets. So the CodeDx is sold as an annual subscription. The standard edition starts at $2,500 and the enterprise edition at $9,700. Some of the very big companies are looking at a blended solution where they will use the enterprise edition further downstream in the software development lifecycle, but put the cheaper standard edition on each developer or tester's desk. The application security testing market is very big. There's about $1 billion of sales in static and dynamic analysis tools. But there are certain parts of the market that are unrepresented in that number. For example, all those people who should be doing application security testing and are not, they are unrepresented in this. The reason that they're not in there is because of those obstacles that I mentioned. Also, there are open source tool users who are kind of suffering with the open source tools. CodeDx fills some of the key features that are missing in the open source tools. So those are unrepresented in that market. Now there is competition. I'll focus on one of them. ThreadFix is another software vulnerability management system. And here's two differences between ThreadFix and CodeDx. ThreadFix makes their users run all the tools for them, and then they bring everything in. Whereas CodeDx bundles the open source tools within our package. We run them for you. We do the heavy lifting. The other difference is in the pricing model. ThreadFix makes you, they charge you by the application. So the customer doesn't know exactly how much it's going to cost them. We charge by user, and you can use it on an unlimited number of applications. And we found that customers respond to that very well. We have about 100 users of CodeDx today, and we have some active pilots in banks like Citigroup, Bank of New York, PNC. We have healthcare companies like Kaiser Permanente that are testing it, insurance companies like Aetna. And I'm happy to say that since I built this slide and turned it in 2 days ago, one of those has closed yesterday, and another one we think is going to close next week. We have resellers in the UK, in the US, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Australia, and New Zealand, and we're in negotiations with Asian resellers. We have received $4.1 million of investment to date. Most of that has come from the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security has decided that CodeDx is one of those technologies that will help secure the country's software supply chain. And so that is why they've invested $2.6 million in us. The rest of the funding has come from our parent company, Applied Visions, from which we were spun out in February. We have some revenues and a growing pipeline. Our financial projections are that we will be cash positive by year 3, and we will have an EBIT of about $14 million by year 5. In order to get there, we need about $3 million in investment that will largely cover engineering, sales, and marketing. This is a very active, vibrant market, application security technology. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions, but the big security players like McAfee and Symantec have not yet entered the market, and they will. And when they do, we want to be their acquisition target. I am the CEO of CodeDx. Ken Kroll is the CTO. He's with me in the back. We're very fortunate to have on our board of advisors Rick Orloff, who is the Chief Information Security Officer at eBay and used to be at Apple, and Michael Mallon, who was a co-founder of Mandiant, which was sold to FireEye about 18 months ago. I'm Anita D'Amico. I'm from CodeDx, and we're here to help you find and fix those software vulnerabilities before the attackers get to them.